Kerstin, thank you very much for being a guest on the Fluent English Pro podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's very exciting to visit a new podcast to talk about language learning.
Yeah. And I think your perspective on language learning is perfect for this podcast because you focus on working with people that have no time or very limited time. Professionals have very limited time. They have like work all day, and sometimes they have families, and that should be no reason for them to stop or to reduce the amount of effort or the amount of energy they are putting into improving your English. You're a language coach, a language learning coach. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that, about who you are and what you do.
Yes. So you can call it language coach, language learning coach. It's kind of made up. So the difference between the reason I'm calling it coach, not tutor, is because over the years, I started as a tutor for German, which is my native language, to English native speakers, and worked with lots and lots of people. And over the years, I found that the thing that I'm most interested in is always the reasons why people think they can't do it. And when you work with languages and you have those conversations like small talk, oh, what do you do? I work with languages. Everybody always says, oh, I want to learn a language, but I can't because I'm too busy. I'm too old. I'm too stupid. It's for rich people. Everybody had a reason why not. So I just got so passionate about this because I love languages and I have learned languages as an adult. I've learned languages in full-time education and I didn't find it impossible. And people always tell me, oh, this language is too hard and this is impossible. So I started to feel interested in the many ways that people stand in their own way. And over time, I became more interested in like learning science, language learning methods. And there really isn't a lot of research into what works for adult learners who are solo, who are busy. There is basically nothing. So I tried to create things for people. And I tried to look into language learning motivation and the psychology behind it. That's why the idea of the coach is when people come to me now, I don't teach them the language. I talk to them about how they can make it easier for themselves to learn. And I think an hour of that is 10 times as useful sometimes as 10 hours of trying to bash your head against the wall,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're giving them the tools.
Yes. Yeah. There's the I'm always quoting this quote. I think it's an Abraham Lincoln one. Who knows? But there's this quote from I think Abraham Lincoln where he says, if I'm going to go into the woods and chop down a tree, the first thing I'm going to do is sharpen my axe. Yeah. Right? We're not going chopping like this, like crazy. We're going to work on our axe first. And this is something that I think a lot of language learners don't really understand.
Great. Okay. So that's a great segue to my first question, which is you have a focus on adult learners, particularly professionals, and you have this scope where you can learn or improve your language skills without joining a class. Yeah. Maybe because your own schedule, like as a student, doesn't fit the class schedule because you don't have time to go. Because it's your preference, yes. So you prefer to do it solo. Yeah. This is the case for many professionals. You have to go solo. What can be like the basis of this? If I were a professional who wanted to improve their language skills without attending a class, what are like 2 or 3 things I could start doing today?
So I often talk, I've got this system called the language habit system, which is often how like a framework that I put things into. And the 3 core steps in that are plan, track, review. So if you're asking me about 3 habits, I would almost say that really. So plan, and by plan, I don't mean, make yourself a schedule, etc. But start with what do you actually want to achieve? What's your goal? Are you learning a language so you can impress the boss, write better reports, talk to clients? Are you learning a language because your partner is from a different country and you have to talk to their family? Are you learning a language because you want to travel? So if you're doing it for your career, you need a different kind of English, for example, than if you are trying to work with children, So that's the first thing. What do you actually want to achieve? Then you know what kind of vocabulary to learn. Then you know what to practice. If you want to pass an exam, it's different to if you want to just, I don't know, flirt with girls, flirt with men. So plan, and then the next step is track. And for me, tracking, it doesn't have to be very complicated, but just kind of keep an eye, maybe for a month or two, every day on what you are doing. Just kind of, maybe have a calendar on the wall or have a streaks up or something like that. And then when you've done it, it's like taking a pill or something. When you've done your little bit of language, I call it daily contact, then you can say, tick, okay, that's done. Right? So you don't want to have 6, 7, 9 days with no contact, especially not at the start or when you're intermediate. And then by review, I mean, after a month, have a think about what did you learn? What was fun? What wasn't fun? What do you want to do more of? What are some ways that you can get closer to your goals? So you can do this if you want to do a lot of progress really quickly, review every week. If you're chilled out and relaxed learner like I am, once a month, once every 3 months, it's fine.
Okay, great. There is an important point that you just mentioned, and it happens in everyday life. I am learning to play an instrument.
Oh, me too.
And when I practice every day, it shows. And when I practice only twice a week or once a week, it shows. Like my fingers are so rigid when I only practice once or twice a week, and they are super fluid when I practice every day. Same thing happens with languages. I think the point you mentioned of daily contact is essential. It doesn't have to be a 2-hour session. It can be a 20, 30-minute session. But if it's like a consistent activity that you do every single day, or at least from Monday through Friday, you're going to see great results.
I agree with that. So the daily contact, for me, it's a really easy way to think, I just need to do something. It takes the pressure off. It's a very good way to think about if you have perfectionist tendencies, if you want to make it correct or perfect, if you want to think, oh, what is the best way? Daily contact, it's a really easy way to go, oh, it's okay. And it reminds you, I've got time tomorrow, So if you want to go one deeper, you can start thinking about the core skills, which is listening, reading, speaking, and writing, and start asking yourself, do I have coverage for each of these skills? And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, symmetrical. They all feed into each other, but make sure you've got something in each skill kind of over the course of a week or two.
How do you recommend keeping track of this progress? Is like on a notebook, on a spreadsheet? What is the most practical way for that?
It depends on who you are and how you like to work. So I'm a pen and paper girl. If I can plug on my website, I've got some trackers for sale that feel free to help yourself. But I have a way of doing it in Notion that we've developed. So you could do it in your project management software. You could do it just on your phone and have a little reminder pop up and just tick it every day. Or I often just built a spreadsheet, just do yourself a Google spreadsheet or something. Personally, I like to do it in a notebook. And when I get good at a language, I don't really do it so much anymore because it's like everything. If once you've got the strong foundation, you don't need it so much. So in my biggest language that I'm learning at the moment, I'm not tracking anymore, but for years I did it.
Okay, so it's gonna depend on how far into the process, into the habit you are.
Yeah, people often think learning a language looks the same in year 5 or year 1 or whatever, but it really doesn't. The way you interact changes, and the kind of things you need to learn change.
Yeah, and if it's like a second or third or fourth language, it's going to be different from the first experience. Okay, let's move on to a different question now, which is, all right, I know what to do. We have a plan, track, review, habit structure, but then typical excuse or typical reason, quote unquote reason people have is, Kerstin, I have no time. I have no time to do this. I have no time to practice. Yeah. How can I integrate these habits or the language learning process into a tight schedule?
Mm-hmm. So something I really like to try out. So a lot of this is trial and error, right? So you try something, you see if it works for you. I'm not going to give you, I always say this to people, I'm not going to give you the perfect way because it's highly, highly personal. I don't know your life. But one tip I would have that is really good is it's called habit pairing. So with things that you are already doing, can you build a little bit of the language into that? So this could look like, I'm going to give you an example from when I was in school. This is a while ago, but when I was really trying to learn something intensely, I would often write it on like a sticky note, put it on the mirror in the bathroom so that I can read it while I'm brushing my teeth. And it doesn't take any more time. It doesn't take any more time. You can just do it. When I'm starting in a new language, I am such a big fan of labeling everything around my house. And it's for me, maybe I could find the time, but I am also quite forgetful, right? So I don't sit and I don't start. It's not just the time, it's the energy. So anytime that you can make something just sneaky and build it into your life really easy, that is a great way to do it. And then there is also, so you could do something with the Pomodoro technique. Just tell yourself, I'm going to do this for 15 minutes, take a 5-minute break, or 25 minutes, take a break. You do not need 3 hours every single day to learn a language. You don't even need half an hour every day to learn a language. Just little bit. Remember that daily contact, sneak it in, and try and do the things that you are already doing, but in a different language. So if you like watching TV, maybe you can find something in your target language with subtitles. I think for English learners, it's so easy.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's something we were speaking about in a previous episode. Is like you can create an immersive environment even if you work remotely or even if you live in a non English speaking country. Yes, like if you like YouTubers, this is like well, or whatever you like cooking videos or you like exercise videos, go watch those in English. Yeah, like everything that integrates with your daily life, all the content. Because like there is just doing like a parenthesis here, like a different topic. Like we say we have no time, but then we spend like 2 hours on scrolling on social media. Like so, like we don't have time for that. We can still scroll on social media. Just make sure people you're following speak English. Yeah. And the other thing you mentioned, they don't have to be long sessions. And I think sometimes long sessions are counterproductive because your brain needs time to relax and to absorb the information. If you give it too much, then just it's gonna be overwhelmed.
I would recommend once a week, maybe, if you can, to take half an hour to do something that doesn't look like watching a video or scrolling, something passive, and see if you can do something that is a little bit more active. So I'm thinking about, so I'm going to say, I'm going to mention AI Language Club, I guess, which is a membership that I run. And a lot of that, when we are making the tutorials for that, I think so much about how can I how can I make my learners work, if you know what I mean. It's not just create a story for me that I can read or make me a video in English. No, I'm thinking about how can I make it so that you have to think and you're really in there. So it could be that, it could be just a fill in the gap text, something that it looks like a traditional old school exercise, but do something. Maybe just so my one of my target languages is Welsh. I've got some friends who are Welsh speakers. Even if I just write them a text, that's still me having to think about how do I say this. And I don't go to Translate or AI and say, hey, write this text for me. No, I want to try it myself. And the reason is because you do want to do active production in your target language, not just passive consumption.
This is a great segue to the next question, which is, and I think this is one of the reasons we let AI do the thinking for us. AI is great,
Yeah,
as a tool, but not as a replacement for your brain. But sometimes we don't want to be wrong. Like, we don't want to make mistakes. We're going to be so scared of making a mistake, of like sounding unprofessional, and oh my God, they're going to feel like my English level is not good enough, that kind of thing. And there is something that you introduced here, which is called a realistic self-compassion. And I wish I hadn't thought of that, but it seems so obvious. I think every English teacher should implement this, and every English learner should implement this, which is realistic self-compassion. Can you tell us a little bit of what this is in the context of learning English in this case?
I can tell you in a very, very short way. It's just remembering that you're a learner. That's all it is. You just have to remember you are learning, and learning includes making mistakes. And I say this very often. When I was tutoring German, a lot of my students would say something to me and then they would make a mistake. And there is, I know Spanish speakers have this with, Spanish speakers have an issue pronouncing the word sit sometimes, and they pronounce it in English in a way that sounds like expletive. But in German, we have the word schießen, which is to shoot. And if you misread it, it's also the same. So people make these like embarrassing mistakes, and they're so embarrassed. And then they say, sorry, 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 sorry. And I'm always telling people, look, if you don't make mistakes, I literally have nothing to work with. I can't do anything. So you have to remember to put yourself in an environment that is designed for you as a learner, not as a perfect speaker. So if you are a French learner, don't go to Paris and try to buy train tickets or try to order wine with your beginner French and then say, they didn't want to talk to me. Of course not. They're trying to do a job. They're not your teacher, right? Go and talk to somebody who is ready for you to make the mistake, who wants you to make the mistakes. Act like a learner. I mean, it sounds like I'm telling people to be humble, but I don't think there is that much humility in it. It's really just be nice to yourself, allow yourself, like you are allowed to be a learner, and then over time, try and be ready to be, to try something out. And also be happy to make the mistakes, be happy, be excited about making the mistakes. I still now, after 10 years of Welsh learning, go to Wales, go into these environments. And 2 weeks ago, I went to volunteer at a festival. It's one of the things I like to do. And they gave me a walkie-talkie, So you get these voices in your ear. And I told them in advance, I will not understand a word you are saying. And they were so nice about it. But I was really scared because they're saying in Welsh all these like security messages and there's a lost child. But the quality of the audio, of course, is terrible. So you can't even hear. And it's scary. It's scary. But as long as you tell people I am a learner, they will understand. So just remember. Sorry, now I've made the short answer very long, but the short answer is just remember that you are a learner, and being a learner is not shameful. Being a learner is great.
Thank you so much for that. And I don't know if you do. I have a background in education. I used to be a teacher at a university, and I have worked at schools. And there is this thing, and I understand because like sometimes a system needs scores and grades so like you can measure progress. But when you are out of that system and you're learning a language by yourself, like nobody is grading you, nobody is giving you a score, nobody is telling you like you're gonna be a bad student if you don't give the perfect answer. So I think maybe part of this, Kerstin, it might be wrong, comes from that education system, like taught us like mistakes are bad. Mistakes means you're getting a bad grade. Mistakes means you're not passing the subject. When like learning processes are not like that.
And in languages, most people first have contact with languages in school environments. It's one of the there's only a small group of things I think that we learn in school and then have later in life. And it's sort of, we meet it as a school subject, because what other things you learn as an adult, like painting your living room or repairing your car or cooking something, or like you said, like learning an instrument, that's not something that you got, like you got a bad grade in school. Nobody ever came and told you when you were 11, oh, you're doing everything wrong. But in languages, this is true. So I think we have a lot of people have a really bad first contact with languages. And I think it's such a shame because it's one of the most beautiful things you can learn.
Hey there, if you're enjoying the podcast, imagine how much more progress you could make with consistent, specialized support every week. Introducing the Fluent English Pro membership, designed specifically for busy professionals like you who want to keep improving their English even on a busy schedule. You'll find fluency activities, tutorials, mini courses, vocabulary builders, and live events, all focused on work and business English. Whether it's mastering international meetings, doing presentations, or answering tricky emails, this space is built to help you grow. If you're serious about your communication skills, visit fluentenglishpro.com/members and subscribe today. That is fluentenglishpro.com/members. Let's turn your English into your biggest professional asset. I agree. It opens up a lot of new doors, new experiences and worldviews. Let's pivot a bit towards a different topic, which we already mentioned, which is AI in language learning. And I know this is one of your strengths because you have a language club focused on learning languages by using AI. You can tell us a little bit more about that at the end of the conversation. So let's focus on that. AI, we already mentioned, is not your brain; it's a tool.
Yeah.
And as a professional, maybe who's looking to improve my English for business or for work settings, how can I start using AI for my communication skills or for my language skills?
Ooh, this is exciting because there are so many different opportunities, so many different ideas. So, where I would focus with somebody, okay, so it depends. Do you want to talk to clients or do you need to do a lot of formal writing? So if you need to talk to clients, maybe you have dinners or meetings and you want to understand the meetings better, then I think AI could be really, really helpful because one of the things it can do is you can generate yourself a list of vocabulary. So say you've got a meeting coming up, you could take your briefing document or the topics for that meeting and say, okay, generate me a list of 20 words I need to know about this topic, maybe with sentences that I can say so that you can practice the sentences. You can also use AI to then maybe go onto YouTube and hear those words pronounced. So maybe you can find some interviews from people talking about that particular topic in English. Maybe you are an engineer and you're working and you're installing, I don't know, air conditioners or something, and you need specific language and you don't know every single word, or you want to know more about what your client is trying to achieve. So think about that and see what you can find in terms of materials and what you can do with YouTube. And I think it's amazing. So there's now you have the opportunity to really put words or put different sentences and say, okay, I want to hear this pronounced by a native speaker. And it's going to find it for you in YouTube transcripts. So the one side is really finding information, generating those lists. You can generate sample texts for yourself, and you can really practice and interact with those texts more deeply. So one thing that we've taught in AI Language Club is how to generate close exercises in a clever way. So the close exercise, it's when a text has gaps and you need to fill in the gaps with different words. I think that would be really good. And then we've got lots more fun, creative stuff. So I'm not going to just not mention that. I've taught things like how to express how to find words to express yourself more richly and more naturally when you're talking about your feelings, for example. So we've had an exercise where you're doing a weekly diary you describe, your mood on every day, and then we're finding different ways of saying that and different ways of describing your mood. And we've got some really cool image generation tools that, where we teach you how to do this in your target language. We always demo it in different languages between us as well. So for business professionals, I would start with probably pronunciation and vocabulary fields, and then see where we can go when it comes to expressing yourself, because a lot of what I want to do with my learners is to build the confidence when you are expressing yourself. And AI is a great tool for that because it's a judgment-free space. And we also do some tutorials that will prepare people for interactions with a tutor, or you could take it for an interaction with a colleague. So we help you prepare what to say, what kind of words, and also what kind of questions you may want to ask them, right? So if you want to impress a client, how cool would it be to have a few sort of clever questions up your sleeve that you can ask them when they say, oh my God, she's really interested. They're really interested in what we want to achieve. So it's a great tool to interact, and we are using it. Is exactly like you say, we're using it as a tool, not as a replacement.
You just opened the door to my next question: is how do I make sure we have that balance? Because maybe there is a point where we start relying too much on the tool and we become dependent on it, or we are asking it to do our job. And I'm not mean our job in terms of like work, but also like in terms of my learning process. How do I make sure I do not like cross to that other side where I'm becoming kind of like over reliant on our AI?
So I think a sign that you are becoming too reliant is when you don't check what AI generates for you, what AI creates for you. And because one of the things that we find with tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, they are really, really good at generating a lot of text. So it will write anything. But if you are just taking what it writes without questioning at face value, if you forget that AI doesn't actually know things, it's just really good at putting words together, then we might have a problem. So I think it would be very, very important for you as a learner. Step one is definitely keep an open mind, always stay kind of critical in your thinking, and don't just say, oh, write me a letter to my boss. You take the letter and then you just email it and you don't even think about it. I actually know somebody who did that. And they sent the letter and it had all these like boxes in where you have to put your own name and things like that, and they just sent the empty boxes. It was so embarrassing. So this is the first step, right? Becoming over reliant is tricky. It is tricky. And then step two, I think, like I said, I think you should be the one producing most of the language instead of just playing with a lot of tech. This can be in balance. Like we don't just have to work all the time, but just kind of keep an eye on. And definitely I've noticed in AI Language Club, this is what I'm constantly thinking. Where's the learner benefit? What is the learner doing? We're not just playing, so think about how can you take something a step further? How is this going to challenge you? There is something that maybe you heard about, David, as a learner, as a teacher, is the zone of proximal development. This is
I
when
have not.
Okay. It's basically if something is doable, but it's really hard, and maybe you need a little bit of assistance. That's a really great learning zone. So it's not too hard. You're not. Some people, they are A1 and they say, I'm good to watch YouTube. But of course, you can't understand anything. It's too hard, right? So you want to find something that is a little bit outside of your comfort zone.
Can you repeat what the name of the that's a great expression. Can you say
it's called zone of proximal development.
Zone of proximity. Oh my God. I love it when I talk to other teachers and I get to analyze and evaluate my own knowledge in language teaching. So yeah, this is one of the reasons I love podcasting. Is also like observe myself. Great. Totally agree with you, and I think just to touch on some of the points you just mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and you make an emphasis on how does this benefit the learner, or if I am the person learning, how does this benefit my learning? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because as a learner, you should not be focused on the outcome. If you're focused on the outcome, of course, ChatGPT is going to give you not perfect, but acceptable outcome. But there is no benefit to your process.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how is your process benefiting from
Yeah.
the tool, not your outcome?
Or a lot of what we do, it's also, or a lot of what we want to achieve is also, don't use, if say you're a Spanish native speaker, don't use
Hmm.
Spanish with ChatGPT, use English. But
Hmm.
you might think, oh, I'm going to make mistakes, etc. So how can we interact and make it a game and really think, oh, let's see what happens. So something really simple that you can do, I don't know, not enough people know this, you can play 20 questions with ChatGPT in such a fun way, in such a really good way. And why not make it, like give it a word list from your professional environment, and then play 20 questions with something in your professional environment. So you are interacting. It's kind of forcing you, because you said, okay, we will speak English only. You can say, do not switch to Spanish now for the next 20 questions. Only speak to me in English. I only take my answers when I put them in English. If I write in any other language, tell me to write in English. So you can't escape, and then do it that way. So you are interacting, you're having fun, but actually, as a learner, you are doing a lot.
Great. I do that. I do that sometimes. I ask the tool to ask me questions. Um, and there is a thing though that I think there is still room for improvement on the side of these AI tools, because they always agree with you, and that's a
Mm.
bad thing. And like if you tell them, if you give them a different command that contradicts a previous one, they will just obey.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very mindful of that and careful that you respect your own rules when you are interacting with the AI tool as well.
Yes, it's a mirror. It's not. It's not actually sentient. It
Yeah,
can't. It can't
yeah,
think. It
yeah,
it looks like it can think, but it can't think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. As far as we know, we, yeah. Oh my god, oh my god. All right, but that's a different topic. Sentient robots. Um, we mentioned ChatGPT, we mentioned Gemini. Are there any specific tools besides ChatGPT and Gemini that you will recommend language learners to use to improve their English skills or their communication skills?
Since we've started the club, ChatGPT in particular has increased its capacities. It's increased its abilities so much that it can do a lot of the things that the other tools were doing. But there is one tool that I think is really fun to play with. And that is a tool called Suno. I think it's called Suno. And Suno generates music in a scary way, but you can make yourself a reggaeton about whatever you want to, whatever you want to make it about. I have sent my friend a birthday song in 3 languages about, so my friend, my co-creator of the club, so he knows what I'm doing. It's not just crazy. Like a full-on song where it was sort of a calypso rhythm birthday song for him about how we've worked together and how fun it is to work together. So this is a really fun tool. Suno is really fun. Copilot is good if you're using a lot of Microsoft materials. So Copilot is the AI tool that Microsoft have developed. But I wouldn't recommend the extra image generation, etc. We're sort of walking the line in the club between, we don't want to get excited about every single new tool, because then you're just you just sending links, and people don't learn anymore. People are just playing with new tools every time. So we try not to do that so much. One thing that I'm trying to think, one thing that my co-creator showed me that I really refer people to every time, it's something called natural readers, and it's a tool that gives you AI voices, lots and lots of really good AI voices, and it allows you to slow text down and speed text up that is generated by your AI tool. Because a lot of people say, oh, I've got a problem because I want to talk to ChatGPT in my target language. It's coming, but it's not 100% so good at speaking slowly yet. Often you want something slowed down when you're a learner. So Natural Reader does a really good job of that.
Yeah, I used to use that one, and sometimes I still recommend natural readers for that type of practice. You just give you the text and you choose like male voice, female voice, the accent, the speed. You can change the speed, so it
Yeah.
makes it very very convenient for practicing your listening, for example, or your
Yeah.
pronunciation. So it's a very great tool.
And the amount of languages, like it's a really good range, because we have learners who are learning, everything: Japanese, Norwegian. I'm a Welsh learner. I want it to work in lots and lots of languages.
Mm-hmm. Great, 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 great. Okay, to wrap up, you have an online language club. Is it online or is it face to face?
It's online.
It's
It's online.
online, called
Yes.
AI Language Club.
Hmm.
People go there to improve their language skills, not necessarily English, correct? Or do you focus on English or do you focus on a group of languages?
We don't focus on, we have some English learners, and we have a lot of English native speakers who are learning other languages too. So it's a
Hmm.
mix. It's for any language. And one of the reasons we started doing it about 2 years ago. So when AI was still, oh my God, it was new. And my co-creator and I, Josh, so Josh is the other person who runs AI Language Club. We were just really excited about all the possibilities. As a language tutor, I've seen apps for years. I know about language learning apps, but for a lot of years, people would contact me and say, "Oh, look, have you seen this app? Have you seen this app?" And I'd always think, "Well, that does nothing new. Nothing is new here. Nothing is special." And when the first AI tools came out, there was something new, there was something special, and we were very excited, had so many ideas about how it can be used and how language learners can really do it. So what we do in the club, you can do all of this yourself, of course, but what we have found is it can be really overwhelming if you're trying stuff out with AI. You don't really, a lot of people want to get started and then they say, well, what do I do? What do I do now? So the advantage of being in our club is we send you a fresh idea pretty much every week, but also Josh and we go in and we really test out our prompts and we really make sure something works. And we have often had ideas that would be, oh, it would be so great if we could do this. And like I wanted for so long to ChatGPT, oh, wouldn't it be great if I could set it as a study timer and say, set 15 minutes and count down. It can't do it. It may be in the future, but right now it can't. So we don't teach you anything that we haven't tested and that doesn't work. And we give you all of the different prompts, so you can literally copy and paste and you have like a really fast start. There's about 190 people, 200 people at the moment in our club. We would love to have more people in it, of course, but we are growing and it's sort of a little community. And this summer we're running 2 live challenges, so we're doing Summer of Action. It should be really fun.
All right. I think 200 people is a large community. Is a lot of people. That's great. That's great. That's great. Great. Kerstin, if people want to learn more about the AI Language Club, if they
Hmm.
want to learn more about you and how, maybe if you have like a social media channel or a website where you give information on how to learn languages,
Hmm.
where can we find the Language Club and where can we find you online?
Oh, yes. So AI Language Club is ailanguageclub.com, really easy. And we are not great at social media, so you can follow us on Instagram and maybe something will happen in the future. But like, come and follow me on Instagram. I actually do stuff on there. It's Kerstin, Kerstin _fluent. And I would particularly love to tell people about our new quiz that we have at the moment. And we've built a quiz. It's so exciting. I want people to come and do it. It's called What's Your Language Learning Superpower? And I'm not going to give you all the answers, but there are 3 different results that you can get. Maybe your superpower is something to do with listening. Maybe it's something to do with speaking. Maybe it's something else. You have to come and try it. And that's just on our website, just ailanguageclub.com/quiz. I would love for more people to take it. It's so exciting when people do this.
Amazing. So for the people listening, the link to the quiz, the link to the language club, and the link to Kerstin's Instagram is going to be there in the episode description. So go check it out. Follow her on social media. Take the quiz and take a look at the AI Language Club. Maybe it's something that you are going to be a part of in the future. Kerstin, thank you very much for sharing your perspectives with me, and thank you very much for creating this community. Because like a lot of people speak about AI, but it's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise online. People just give different names to ChatGPT because they have like a different interface. But what you're doing is very important. Is you are testing things, and you are like tailoring the prompts so they can actually help people get the results they're looking for in the language learning process.
Yes. Yes, we are a learning community. We are not some company like making an app. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really, really lovely to talk to a fellow teacher, somebody with a passion for languages, and to talk from England to you over on the other side of the world. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Kerstin. Goodbye.